Fat Dag is a Weight Watchers leader in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, the views and opinions expressed during this podcast are his own. They do not represent the views of Weight Watchers. And now, here's your host and wingman, Fat Dag.
Cheers. I am your host, Fat Dag. You're listening to WhysAdvice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at WhysAdvice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Got a very special episode for you today. As you know, I've been doing the podcast now for almost 2.5 years or so. It's been quite a while, and you know, we started as a daily show, and we start with you guys sending in your emails, and that becomes a show. And I always thought that there was a piece missing, and you know, as I started doing this early on, you know, a lot of podcasts they bring on guests and they bring on experts, and I kind of wanted to get away from that initially because, you know, I wanted this podcast to be about you and your story. One of the most valuable things we know is that as we connect to other people, we connect because we share and we find common ground. So we've been doing that forever. If you go all the way back to the very, very beginning and you go from episode 1 to 272, there's nothing but inspirational people finding their way, finding their tribe, sharing their stories. And it's just a great, great, great way to do this. And as I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't be bad every once in a while to bring on an expert, someone who knows a little more than I do about a topic that I think benefits our community. On today's show, I got just that for you. And so, you know, you can find the show, you can find it in your app store. If you go to your, you know, whether it be the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, search for WhysAdvice with Fat Dag. Download the app. That's the best way to know. If you're wondering when the next show is, follow me on Twitter. The WhysAdvice account on Twitter is where we get all the show notes and updates. So you can certainly find it there. But what I started doing now, and this will slowly transpire, is that I want to make sure the show format remains consistent. The most valuable piece of the show is that you sharing your story, you telling your journey so that other people can find a similar journey and find support that they may not have known they had. So that part will never change. But I think every once in a while, it doesn't hurt to bring on someone who knows a little bit more, who can kind of do a deeper dive into a specific topic. Today's show is just that. I found a guy on Facebook, Dr. Jaquish. He is a strength training guru. And as we know, a lot of us in this journey, we believe strength training is something we just have to do, but we're not exactly sure how to get into it. So I found his equipment on the internet. I thought it was fantastic. I brought it into the house. I'm telling you, I love it. There's no exaggeration. It is a platform, a solid plastic platform with bands, and I can do all my strength training with it. As a matter of fact, I take it with me on the road, which makes it even more valuable because now I don't have to miss a workout because I'm traveling. And I want you to hear the interview that him and I did. It's about 45 minutes long, so go ahead and dig in, listen to that. At the very end of the episode, if you go to x3bar.com, using the promo code FATDAG, you'll save $50 off the order. I'm doing that especially for you guys that are listening right now. That they've offered that offer to us, so I think that's fantastic. But go ahead and dig into the episode. Like I said, if you go to x3bar.com, use the promo code FATDAG. That tells them you were listening, tells them you were here. And I tell you, I give this 100% 2 thumbs up as you roll into your strength training. So without further ado, I want you to hear the interview I did with Dr. Jaquish. Here it is. All right, folks, I have got a treat for you today. As you know, the WhysAdvice Podcast, I'm big on making sure we eat right. Eating right is the biggest thing we can do to take care of our bodies. But if you eat right and you're not working out, you're kind of missing a boat. And I tell you, I was on Facebook, as you know. I'm always on Facebook, and I saw this ad. Facebook ads work. I'm telling you, I saw this ad for this X3 bar. And I was looking, I'm like, what the heck is this thing? And I was like, well, I've been doing some strength training. And Dr. Jaquish said, hey, try it out. And I said, okay, I want to give it a shot. And I instantly, this thing came to my house in a beautiful box. I unpackaged it. Within minutes, I'm doing bicep curls. That's my favorite workout. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I was exhausted. So I reached out and said, you have got to get on the show. So The treat for you guys today is right now with me live on the show, or live as I'm recording it. Dr. Jaquish is here with me. Sir, welcome to the WhysAdvice Podcast. How are you today?
Fantastic. How are you?
I am good. So give my listeners a little bit of background about yourself, and let us know what they're in store for as we go through this conversation.
Okay. Yeah. So about 13 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with osteoporosis. She was very upset, and she read some of the statistics that showed that the risks of death from an osteoporotic fracture are similar to that of breast cancer.
Wow.
So she's very upset, and I told her I would look into this. And as I did, I realized it's something that shouldn't really be seen as a disease or a dysfunction at all. It's a disuse of bone. That's what it's from. But the problem is there's no good way to use bone, to build a bone density past a certain age, because what I had discovered, and this came through in gymnastics research, gymnasts through high impact forces, they have incredible bone density, but also they have incredible risk of injury. So the question I asked myself from an engineering perspective is, how do I create a device that gives the benefit of high impact force without the risks of high impact force? And so I created an impact emulation device and allows for the compression of bone from end to end. And so there's 4 movements that people go through, and I treated my mother with it, reversed her osteoporosis in 18 months. She's now in her 80s and has the bones of a 30-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's amazing. And she was incredibly happy, and she went back to doing the things she loved: tennis, gardening, going hiking. My parents live kind of near Lake Tahoe, and so big hikes all the time. And she's very excited about that. And so the limits on her quality of life just went away.
Wow.
And right, she got to live just like she was young again. And so once it worked for her, and also she's not the kind of person who would ever exercise. Like I said, she plays tennis and she's active, but exercising was not really her thing. Now, the bone density device is more of a medical device, kind of a therapy type protocol. But the most interesting thing to me as a guy who liked athletics was I saw something that no one else had seen before in the human body. And it's the differences between the capability that a human has from these impact-ready ranges of motion to their other ranges of motion. And for the people who don't know what I mean by range of motion, if you think about doing a squat, when you're just hovering right off the ground, that's the hard part of a squat-type movement. And as your legs become more straight and only slightly bent, then it's much easier.
Yeah, that initial inertia to get that thing moving is a lot more.
No, I'm not talking about inertia. I'm talking about static outputs.
Okay.
Because inertia is a thing for sure, but like this is completely outside of that model. So it's just the output is so much greater in these stronger impact-ready ranges of motion. And I thought, wow, this really means that when people lift weights, they're overloading joints and underloading muscle, which makes sense because so many strong people have incredible joint injuries as they continue strength training. And there's a big risk associated with it, which I think makes strength training very unattractive for many people. So I thought, okay, I'm going to create the world's most powerful variable resistance device. So basically, it's heavy where it's heavier where you are more powerful. It becomes lighter where you aren't as powerful and the joints are at risk. So it's very easy on joints and it triggers much more muscular growth. And that's X3, x3bar.com. That's where you went to find it.
Yeah.
And the product's been out. It's absolutely the best fitness device. I mean, I have a very biased opinion, by the way,
Well, I'm biased with you because I have one.
You use it.
Yeah.
Tell me about your results.
Well, so that's the thing. So I have one. If I'll be honest with you, I was skeptical because you look at it and I'm being polite here, but you look at it and it's a plastic plate with a rubber band and a metal bar. I'm like, okay, I could probably make that, and then I look, and then when I get it, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can't make this. This is high impact plastic. This plastic is
when
not.
You look at,
yeah,
sure. When you look at a picture of an iPhone, it's like, oh, it's just a little piece of, just a small screen. I can make one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you can't.
Yeah. No, not even close.
Yeah. It's really, honestly, I thought about giving people instructions, like in a book, of how to like fashion their own system, of how to train like this. And then once I realized you needed a bar with rotation, you really need that to make the wrists very comfortable.
Right.
That became very complex. And then also I wanted to make something nice that was great to hang on to. And so now we're using anodized aluminum and solid steel.
Yeah. This thing screams high quality from every time I touched it. It's just high quality. The thing that I thought was amazing with it is I've been strength training for 2 years. I go to a local place here. I have a trainer that I work out with. It was similar style to what you talk about, but so I get this thing and thinking, hey, I've been strength training for 2 years. I know I have added muscle mass. So I pop open, you send me 4 bands. I pop open the third one thinking I could do a bicep curl on the third one, and I couldn't. And then I'm like, okay, this is a rubber band. And then so I pop open the second one. I'm like, so then I begrudgingly went down to the white band, and I'm like, okay, I better start at the beginning. Apparently, I'm not as strong as I thought I was, and I busted out my 20, 25 reps or so on the white band, and I'm like, okay, this is no joke, But I like, because I've been strength training for so long, I was used to muscle fatigue, and so that concept was not new to me. However, what you've introduced to me is I now can fatigue my muscles at more than just at the top and at the bottom. When I'm done, my muscle hurts from the entire range of my muscle hurts. Why is that?
Well, it's fatigued. I wouldn't say it hurts.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
it's not pain, right? No, it's totally not pain.
There's
right?
Nothing painful about it.
Right. It feels actually good. It feels strong. Yeah. It feels full, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So why is that important that it fatigues at all ranges of motion?
Because you have different capability. You have much more muscle firing in the impact ready range of motion, and if you can exhaust to there, you trigger much more protein synthesis. Now, also keep in mind, muscle is the only thing you can change in the body to the degree you can change it that will improve the function of pretty much all organs of the body. So, your pancreas, your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, your heart, they're all supporting muscle all day long. And the more you have, the more optimally these organs function. So you're a healthier person by adding a little more mass. Yeah. Also, the more mass you have, that's an engine that's burning calories at all times.
Right.
So people can eat a little bit more. Like, people watch me eat. Now I'm a bigger guy. Like, if your listeners look me up, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, he looks like a professional athlete.
Right.
Yeah, okay. But I also eat 3 pounds of steak a day.
Yum.
So, yeah, I know. And I'm lean.
Yeah. Yeah, you're totally lean.
Yeah, I have veins in my abdominals. So, it's what I am doing so I can demonstrate that somebody can use this really inexpensive home gym product. It's only $550. There's no other home gym you can get for $550.
No way.
And this thing is getting me to a point where I look and feel like a professional athlete, and all of these changes happen to me. I put on 45 pounds of muscle after turning 40 years old. That never happens.
Right.
And that's how efficient this is. And of course, all my other health metrics, my blood pressure is down. My cardiac performance is phenomenal. By the way, there's a great article. Somebody does a search for it. There's no such thing as cardio. Cardiovascular exercise and strength training have very similar effects from a health perspective on the heart. Now, if you want to be a long distance runner, you got to run.
Sure.
But if you want a healthy heart, you can strength train and you'll get the same thing out of it, but you won't have the repetitive stress injuries from cardiovascular fitness.
I notice when I go from like to the chest press to the tricep push down, and if I just do them all and just keep going and do the workout in about 10 minutes, I'm spent. My heart is pumping, I'm breathing heavy. It's no joke. So I believe that's the same as running as far as your cardiovascular system goes, right?
Right.
I love the shirt that you wear to promote this. You say no weights, no cardio, just X3. What do people say when they read that and they see you because you're wearing it? They're like, "Holy cow, this guy's jacked."
Well, online people just hurl insults at me because they think I'm. People become some people become terrible. Online because they can hide behind their computer. No one has ever actually said anything negative, like to me at like a conference or anything.
Because they know you'll crush them.
Well, I'm not going to hurt anybody. I hug or shake hands, depending on how well I know you. I'm not going to hurt anybody. Yeah. No, but it's just people, in person, they're not going to scream at me and say, "Oh, I think your ideas are stupid" or whatever. But a lot of people who are in the fitness industry, they have a lot of emotion tied to what they believe is the right thing. A lot of people, everyone wants to believe they have all the answers, even when they clearly don't.
Right.
So, and when you come across somebody like that, when you talk to somebody about weight loss and you're face to face with them, you can explain like some certain things that have been shown in research, but in practical application are not as good as some other things. In person, they'll say, "Wow, thanks. That's great information." Online, they'll tell you to, go jump off a cliff.
Right.
So, there's that. But ultimately, the product has become very successful. And there's just an article in the Chicago Tribune that referred to me as the Tony Stark in the fitness industry.
I saw that.
Yeah. It was cool.
I loved it.
Yeah. I couldn't have paid him to write something cooler. I'm probably going to get that put on a T-shirt too.
There you go.
So,
talk to me a little bit about. So, I mean, obviously, you look great. You clearly feel great. You've lowered your medication and you're giving yourself the gift of health. But
medication. I was never taking it.
I thought you said your blood pressure was great. I thought you meant that you were on medication.
Oh, I wasn't hypertensive. It's just better now than it was. You get a little bit older, you get to 40, it goes up.
Yeah, but you've reduced that.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. I apologize, but talk to me a little bit about a lot of my listeners here. We're new to strength training, a lot of us, and so there's this misconception or this fear that if I touch a dumbbell, then I'm going to instantly look like you, and I don't want to, as a female or as a young guy, I don't want to look like that yet.
Right.
Talk to me about
keep in mind the condition that I'm in. You're talking about the people that look like me. We're talking about maybe 1/100th of 1% of people who exercise end up getting the type of development I have.
Right.
Now, there's a number of reasons for this. It's the intensity that I approach this with. Now, my mother, who's in her 80s, uses X3. She doesn't look like me. She looks like a female who's maybe in her 70s. So she's leaner, and you can see some defined muscle in her arms, the back of her arms, a lot tighter than her friends, because she has some musculature in there. Here's something interesting for females. A lot of females, especially like they start to lose some weight, and they really still don't like the way the back of their legs look.
Right.
Big issue with females. So they, shorts are like, I don't want to wear shorts. I don't like the way the back of my legs look. The reason the back of someone's legs looks like that is because they have an underdeveloped hamstring muscle. It's not because they're holding too much body fat there. Not necessarily.
Right.
Clearly, there are some issues sometimes, but if they can grow that hamstring muscle, and with X3 that happens very easily, that shape of the leg becomes more feminine, and that skin stretches a little bit, and it flattens out.
Yeah.
And they don't see that cellulite anymore. So people avoiding strength training because they don't want to, quote, get big, like, don't ever worry about that. You have to eat for that kind of size. You have to use a device with incredible intensity for years. But ultimately, the best way, the easiest way to lower your percentage body fat is by adding musculature.
Right.
Right. And people, men look more masculine, women look more feminine. Now, the women that don't look feminine, they're taking performance enhancing drugs.
Right.
Like that's
right.
Right. And they're also genetic outliers who some people do. I never have this conversation online because you really need to look somebody in the eye when you say this. When women say to me, every time I go work out, I start to get bigger, and I don't like that. I don't want to look muscular. And I look them straight in the eye and I say, okay, every time you go to work out, are you sure you're not just justifying eating maybe some pizza or some cupcakes to reward yourself?
Right.
Because let me tell you, putting on just a couple pounds of muscle takes a while for a female to do.
Sure.
So if you think you put on a couple pounds every time you touch weights, that's from cupcakes. That's not from the weights.
And then you talked about that in one of your YouTube videos. You talked about, and I loved how you broke it down, because I've kind of said something similar, but the way I heard you say it made a lot more sense to me. Is like, have you ever had a day in your life without pizza? And you said, yeah, if you have one, well, then now you've proven to yourself that you can go without it at least once, and now just expend that. And so I think a lot of our times when we work out, we work out and some of us are working out for the benefit of being able to eat more. Like you said, we eat more, but we're not eating the right thing when we eat more. And therefore it does cause the scale to go up, but it's not because you're working out. It's because you're eating more, but you haven't changed your diet to eat properly as you started eating more. You agree with that?
Yes.
And the folks online sometimes, I've seen it too. We have folks that come in and they say, we say, oh, okay, the scale is up, and we'll say, oh yeah, but I started working out. I was like, one workout doesn't cause that. And you can have some water retention, you can have some salt. That stuff is valid, but not over a long term. But the long-term results is that you say, okay, I want to get into a point in my life where I've completely changed my life. And that requires us to do something with some discipline. And we have to say, okay, I want to have a new life. We have to set the course for what it looks like. And then we have to be disciplined enough to say no to the things that don't align with that, and yes to the things that do push us forward in that direction. And that's the coolest thing I think that I love about the X3 bar is that it's just 10 minutes a day, but you can take it everywhere. I took mine to New York City when I went up to New York, and it was just having it in my hotel room if I bought a home gym system, you can't carry that on an airplane.
Also, you get a home gym system, you lose a room of your house.
Right.
Right, or a garage or something like that. And this thing fits in a drawer or in a backpack when you're done with it.
Right, which is incredibly convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that in the one of the things you have, which I think is phenomenal as well, is you have the X3 Bar users group on Facebook, where I think you and your team have done a great job. When someone doubts you, you go, hey, listen, don't take my word for it. Just get in this group and look at real people with real results. And what do you think the value of that? Just kind of pushing them on to just look at real people and then talk to me. How's that work?
Right. Perfect.
Isn't that great? Yeah, because you don't have to do anything other than just say, hey, these are real people who are real customers, real users, and they're getting it done, which is fantastic. So very cool. Talk to me a little more about, more falsehoods when it comes to strength training. I'm very interested. You posted a bunch of videos on YouTube about falsehoods of strength training, and what's your favorite one?
My favorite falsehood? There's the cardiovascular exercise for weight loss. Ultimately, cardiovascular exercise upregulates cortisol, which keeps you as fat as possible. because think about what the central nervous system is saying. Like, it's seeing that you have an energy deficit and that you need to go long distances over an extended period of time. So it's going to store as much fuel as possible. So cardiovascular exercise is the worst thing to do if you're trying to lose body fat. And there's 40 years of research on this subject. It's ridiculous how long it's been out there, yet people go to their gym and trainers are like, oh, you want to lose weight? All you got to do is cardio. Yeah, wrong.
You actually can lose muscle mass if you do too much cardio. Isn't that right?
You lose muscle mass with pretty much any, because that's what cortisol does. It removes muscle and preserves body fat. So sometimes people lose weight when they do cardiovascular exercise, but it's muscle they're losing. They're not losing body fat.
Right.
So they do strength training, they're losing body fat and preserving muscle.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. So I was grossly overweight. I got to the point where the Air Force was getting ready to kick me out. And so I watched what I would through motivation / discipline, mostly discipline. I said, okay, I want to change my life, and I started eating better, and I added cardio as in running, and I got down super thin, but I had no muscle mass whatsoever, and I didn't like it. And then I talked to my trainer, and he's like, you need to start doing some strength training. And when I found strength training, that was when all of a sudden the light bulb went off. I'm like, man, being strong is awesome. You know, there's nothing better than feeling like, I mean, I lift up, I have this kind of fun thing I do when I walk into a store or something. I grab the door, and I used to have to use my whole body to pull the door. And now I stand still, I hold onto the door, and with one arm I reach out and I just pull the door, nothing but my arm. And I instantly go, I'm strong. You know, and I just feel good about it. Whereas before I'd have to kind of step into the door, grab onto it, and then walk backwards essentially to get the door open, because I had to use my entire body to do it. And the value of strength training takes that away from me and says, or adds me now, goes, hey, you're strong, dude. You know, and it's way more fun to have muscle than not. Yeah.
Right. When your body is capable, it feels great.
Yeah.
You know, there's quite a bit of statistics about older people, and it turns out that I think past 70, I think it's 72, the loss of independence is greater. The fear of the loss of independence is greater than the fear of death.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Yeah, I believe that. My mom now is 72. My dad's 75, both in fairly good health. Maybe I need to get them on this regimen. Right now they're doing, you know, they're starting to eat better, which is good, and they're but again they're afraid of that strength training stigma, which I'm trying to really hard to say, no, listen, strength training is the key to your success. It really is, and you know, as you mentioned that, you know, a stronger body burns more calories, which works in your advantage as well.
Right.
What when we get into the folks who are currently using it, I love on your website you show fitness models and bodybuilders and football players and you name it. You have someone from pretty much all walks of life using it. Same results across everybody?
Basically, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it doesn't matter if I like, you know, from a pro swimmer to a football player.
You know, someone who's deconditioned becomes conditioned.
Oh, I like
and that may be their goal. Like they become leaner, more fit looking, healthier looking, and maybe they don't meet the protein requirements. That's really how you throttle muscle growth to really tremendous levels. You gotta have, you know, like a gram per pound of body weight if you want to gain like as much muscle as possible. But if you're at like 1.6 grams per pound of body weight, you'll maintain muscle and build a little bit too.
Right.
And so we see unfit people becoming fit. We see fit people becoming incredibly powerful.
Yeah. And I think that's again the beauty of what you've developed and the research that you've done to put into this. It really just sums that up, is that no matter where you are in your fitness journey and your health journey, this product works for you. You don't have to be the bodybuilder, and you're not going to start here. If you're not a bodybuilder, you don't have to pretend that you have to run to a gym and do something crazy. You can just get this thing, put it in your living room, put it in a drawer, like you said, put it in a drawer when you're done, and pull it out. And like mine sits right next to it's actually about a foot and a half away from me right now on the floor. And I carry it down to my basement on occasion, whether I'm working out down there or working out up here. But it's really, it's the program you gave is real simple. You outline a whole 12-week program, and you say on week 1 do this, week 2 do this. Do you find a lot of people how does that work for them? They like that structure?
They do. Well, at first they did, but I've kind of condensed the program now so that it's a little more streamlined. So they learn how to do each movement, and then they're told which days to do what, so they can just put it on their calendar. I thought people would appreciate having a different video to watch every day. People have, just my theory on the psychology of it. I think people have become more busy since video programs like P90X came out, and they'd rather not have to watch a video. They'd rather just do the workout and know how to do it. So I give them when they need to do it, and then video of like how to get it done. So if you get the product and you watch the 11 movements, you might need to watch each video like 1 or 2 times, and you got it.
Yeah, and
you don't need to look at it again.
Yeah, so I did that. I watched all the videos, and then the card that came with it just shows a quick picture just to my mind to go, oh yeah, this is what the squat looks like, and this is what the overhead press looks like. And I like the one of the first ones that you said. So the first time I did a squat with it, I did it exactly how you said, as I did it the bar only, no band, because I'm like, I've got to make sure I get the motion correct. And and I think that's what the value of the bar that you add is, that the range of motion, and as you use the motion is that bar balances the band, so that you're reducing injury by not having to hold the band alone, right?
The bar is wait, you're talking about why do we have just you do it with the bar only at first?
No, so it's 2 conversations, right? So the first is like the first time I did it with the bar to learn how to do it, no band attached. And then so I got used to doing that. But then as I started doing it later, like the bicep curl for one, having the bar distributes that weight across both arms evenly. Right. Yeah. You need to protect your joints. And so that bar, it just keeps you protected. Because if you had just the band wrapped around your shoulders, you could sublux a shoulder joint or something like that. So you need the human body interfaces with flat surfaces very well. It does not interface with round surfaces very well. So when your shoulders are being pinched together, that's a bad thing. But when you use the bar and you're just laying the bar across your shoulders, you're fine. Yep. Now, again, looking at your website, x3bar.com, and one of the things that I always like to gravitate to is success stories. I want to see, hey, what is this going to do for me with real people? And the pictures that you have of just real people who've completely transformed their life, they're incredible. Is there one that sticks out in your mind that you've talked to that you're like, yep, this person gets it? Oh, Mikel Lorenzo, John Farrow, the Matthew Schweitzer, like there's a bunch of them. What do they say to you? Absolutely amazing transformations. They can't believe it, because most of these guys have exercised for years and just not gotten much out of it. And I find that very funny. The fitness industry is very defensive. And, like they look at what I'm doing with a lot of skepticism, but I think the industry is kind of hilarious. Fitness is probably the most failed human endeavor. So defending what things are in existence and have sort of quote credibility around them, it's like, who cares? Like,
we clearly don't have the answers as an industry. People do terribly. They're like how many people actually have a physique that they admire? Now, that's not to make people look in the mirror and say, I don't like the way I look. But, and a lot of people, especially the compromised population, they just want to be better than they are today.
Right.
And that's awesome. That's super. Like that's a great goal. But ultimately, most people who exercise, you'd never know by looking at them.
Right.
And that's just monuments to the idea that what people are doing is just, it's not working. How many dieting programs? There's this term flexible dieting, where you can sort of eat, Pop-Tarts and candy bars, and as long as you just stay in a caloric deficit. No, the problem is that creates an insulin event. And that insulin event is a very powerful stimulus that affects your thoughts. And so you become a crazy person who will go and eat a box of candy bars. Mm-hmm. Or you have a bite of pizza, you want to eat the whole large pizza yourself.
Right.
And so I just think it's terrible that that the industry has the position it does, because it, like I said, it is probably the most failed human endeavor.
Yeah, and obviously being a researcher, you know that just as much time and effort that you put into this, there are people putting just as much time and effort into how to make food more addictive, so that they'll sell more. And so I look at it, I always tell my listeners that it's a balance. Like, it's us against them. And so when I'm walking through a food aisle, I look and go, okay, you're not going to get me today just because you colored the box red and you got it at eye level. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to jump for that, and so we have to now take our lives into our own hands and say, okay, listen, I have to set a goal. I have to figure out what my goal is, and I have to be disciplined enough to say, okay, every morning I wake up, I'm going to work towards that goal. And that's where, you have to just say, I want to do it. And the beauty of what you've offered, and I'll tell you why, I'm truly in love with it. It's not just for the sake of telling you, but I'm truly in love with it in the sense where it's just so easy to do. And I don't have to think about it. By the time I'm done thinking about it, it's over. I don't have to drive anywhere. I don't have to, like you said, it doesn't take up a room in my house. It's just, boom, it's just simple. And it falls right in line with that attendance goal where we say to our listeners is like, just do something every single day that aligns with your goal and ignore the things that don't align with your goal, and you completely change your life. And you've done a great job getting this thing to market. How long have you been doing this?
It's coming up on 2 years.
So you've made a lot of progress in 2 years.
Oh, yeah. We've shipped just about 20,000 units. Been on some amazing podcasts, great articles. The Miami Heat is now using X3 as their main strength training tool. Yeah, and there's a bunch of professional athletes that I'd probably have to write a check to mention. But I know they're using. They contact me and say and tell me like this is absolutely amazing. And I understand they have a brand and they have a brand value that is very short lived. So they got to maximize, every one of their social media posts or whatever. So I understand. Sure. But it is great when I get contact from someone who really knows what they're doing from a fitness wellness perspective. Doctors, a lot of MDs, hundreds of MDs have contacted me saying, you changed my life and the life of my patients. Wow. Because I'm recommending this. Yeah. And because I know some people in the fitness industry, there's a kind of a loose relationship between bone density devices in the fitness industry. I got to know some people, a little kind of, I got a lot of eyes from fitness when launching this bone density medical device because they always thought that they touched that space. And I had to inform them they didn't. You need to exceed 4.2 multiples of body weight to do anything to the bone density of the hip joint. So no one's doing that in the fitness environment.
Right. You can't do that with free weights.
No. I mean, there might be 10 people in the world that can really address that type of loading through the hip joint by lifting a weight. Yeah. But the way we're doing it, everyone can do it. So I get to know some of these people, and it was just an interesting experience. They're looking at what we're doing, how fast we're growing, and some of them are happy about it, and some of them are looking at some way to throw a grenade into my office, but it's okay.
Yeah, but I like when someone wants to throw a grenade, because that means I'm on their radar, right? And
oh yeah.
And you've proven you've made it at that. When someone in the fitness industry is quote unquote mad at you, then what I interpret that is that you've encroached into their profit margin with something that's obviously encroaching into their profit margin because it's working, and so therefore they just hate you just on principle. But you're out there completely changing people's lives, and you've given back the gift of health, that's the most powerful gift you can give anybody. It's pretty impressive. I want to end it with tying it back into how you opened the show, and I want to talk about how you said that your mom, I forget the exact words you used, but something like along the lines of doesn't like to work out but loves doing this. Or loves playing tennis, or loves moving, but she doesn't equate it as exercise per se. It's just fun activity.
That's right. Yeah, it's just something she does so that she looks healthy.
Yeah.
And feels healthy. And of course, like I said, every organ functions better when it's supplying musculature with nutrients. That's the synergistic relationship between musculature and organs. And ultimately, if somebody's not doing resistance exercise, they're going to have so much more trouble losing body fat because they don't have that engine that's burning calories all the time.
Right.
Like when people, even when I'm at a caloric deficit, like tonight, I know where I'm going for dinner, and I'm going to eat 1.5 pounds of meat for dinner, and I'm at a deficit today. Right. And that's because of the musculature I have. And so, people say like, oh, wow, you're really eating a lot there. And I'm like, oh, no, actually, this is like, doing some caloric restriction today.
Yeah.
And they look at me like, what? So it's a lot nicer when I can eat and feel full and feel great, but I've got the musculature. And ultimately, if you look at what you can affect with X3, like this is the way, now I'm a little extreme, but we're all supposed to be fit. If we were active people, we were still hunter-gatherer type people, we would all be lean and muscular. Right. To a degree, like you'd be able to see definition in most women's arms.
Part of me
definition in their legs, like the separation between the quadricep and the hamstring. Like you should be able to see that on a healthy person.
Yep. As a part of me would love to, if I got a time machine, I would love to go back to the day when the country was founded, and I bet the human body in that stage probably looked amazing. In comparison to our, it's just because you spend all day walking everywhere. There were no vehicles, of course, and you're hunting and gathering, and you're eating well, and there's no chips, there's no soda, there's no Doritos. It would be, if we had cameras back then, I think it would probably be some of the best pictures of what healthy looks like. Now, granted, we didn't have modern medicine either, so the life expectancy didn't carry forward as much, but it'd be a fun time to have been alive to see that side of it. So how do we get this thing? x3bar.com is obviously the easiest way, but what else? Where do we get you?
You'd find me on Instagram at DrJaquish, Dr. Jaquish. And then I'm on Facebook, drjohnjaquish.com. And then the product has a Facebook page too, X3Bar. And the website is x3bar.com.
Okay. And give us the lowdown, the price of it, everything. Give us the whole thing.
$550. Like I said, it's the least expensive and the most effective home gym anybody will ever have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And portable.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Super portable. Yeah. We actually have a lower than 1% return rate for online delivery, online purchase, consumer products. Industry standard is 30%.
Wow.
Return rate. And
wow.
We have a less than 1% return. Also, I have to address this. A lot of people see fitness products that are like $30. And that's shaped a lot of people's opinions of what a home fitness product should cost. But that's going for a market that I call fake fitness.
Right.
Like if you see a $35 product, it's meant to attract somebody who's only willing to invest $35. And by the way, you're not going to get any decent loading through any part of the body with something that only costs $35 because it'll be flimsy plastic as opposed to having any substantive resistance that you engage with. So those products, the perfect push-up or the thigh blast or whatever, those things are designed for people who want to fool themselves, who want to say, I work out, where
right.
they really don't work out.
Right.
It's just, just sort of, it's fake. It's fake fitness. And they know, they have it, and somebody asks them about exercising. Oh yeah, I work out at home. Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And, you may screw around with that $35 thing once or twice, and then, you put it in the closet, and 5 years later you have a garage sale and you put it out on the lawn. So, right. Yeah. It's like a give.
It's true.
Here's, let me tell you something. Like people need to look at themselves in the mirror and think about what I'm going to say right now. Here are things that I hear where I know you're going to fail. And if you catch yourself saying these things, you got to realize, nope, can't have that mindset. So number one, my diet starts after my vacation.
Yeah.
No, you're going to fail. You're in the wrong mindset. If you care, your diet starts right now.
Yep.
Now. And all you have to do is get through a day. Just get through one day. Just, you've gone a day without pizza and ice cream one time somewhere. So let's see if we can get through today. And so instead of saying, I'm never going to eat any of this again, just go through today. And you know what? At the end of the day, you know what? You didn't die. So tomorrow, wake up and say, I'm not going to eat any garbage today. So that's one thing. And then the other is when somebody says, well, I'd never spend more than $50 for, home fitness product. And I'm like, wait a minute. Your health is the most important thing you have.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is the vehicle that is, it's the vehicle of your mind.
Yep.
Like if you're not willing to make and like I said, it's the cheapest home gym out there. But if people aren't willing to invest in their health and they say, well, yeah, it's ridiculous. I should only pay $50. And here's another thing the internet is good for. People lose their minds over price.
Right.
Like it could be a $5 Velcro wallet, and half the post would be saying this company is terrible. They should be selling this for $1.
Right.
It's like it costs $2 to make. Like, okay. So yeah. So it's the people who just get wrapped up in some sort of like I don't want to invest in my health. It's like, that's what I say. So basically what we're saying is you don't want to invest in your health.
Right.
Okay. You're going to live a really sad life in short.
When I saw the price of it, that wasn't not my first reaction. I did go, okay, yeah, $550, got it. And so when I decided that I wanted to explore more, I'm like, you know what, would my listeners pay $550 for this? And would I feel comfortable saying, guys, it's worth $550? And 100% I say yes, because of, I look at it in my own perspective. Right now, currently, I pay $180 a month to strength train with my trainer, and I pay $70 a month to go to a gym down the street that I don't go to often. So every month I'm shelling out $200, and this thing, is 2 months, it's paid for itself. And it's right here. And on top of all that, like you said, if I go on vacation, I take it with me. So I don't, I see a lot of the posts in the group that talk about the price, and you're right. Those are just, it's just a whole different breed of people who are just want to knock it down on price. There's a reality for high quality and for things that actually achieve and drive results. And you've done that. So well done.
Yep.
Last words, so give them to you. What do you want to say? What do you want us to know that I didn't cover?
Gosh, we hit just about everything. Let me reiterate something. There's a difference between motivation and discipline.
Yep.
Now, people look at my Instagram, and especially men, there's motivation there. They see that I'm in really great shape, and they're like, all right, I'm going to get there. The problem with looking at me or pick an athlete. If you're a long way away from there, that gets disheartening. So don't do that. Don't ever do that. What you need to do is discipline is hour by hour. Like, I'm doing a 48-hour fast right now also, and I'm doing caloric deficit. So I haven't eaten by the time 5 o'clock rolls around. It'll be 48 hours. I haven't eaten anything.
Whew.
Now, would I love to have, some chicken from Chipotle? Yep, I would love to. But you know what? I'm going to get through this hour, and then the next hour, when I think about chicken, I'm like, yeah, I'll go through another hour. Maybe I'll drink some sparkling water. That's an appetite suppressant. So if you can get through an hour doing anything.
Yep.
So you can get through an hour, you can get through a day. You can get through a day, you can control your health.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful.
That's the takeaway. Absolutely. Thanks for this. This is great. You got me to hit all the exciting stuff. I think it's really going to be helpful to your audience.
Well, I think for me it's important because I'm all about the same thing you're about. Is I want people to feel better, I want people to look better, and I want them to know that they have the power to do it. But we got to find the right tools and the tools that are out there that are really designed to help us, not just take our money. And that's where the separation is if you're out to make a buck, you can make a fitness tool and get someone out there. But if you're out there to truly change someone's life and give them the tools to do it, then that's where you come in. And that's why I was so jumped on board when I saw it. I was like, yeah, I get it. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. So you're giving people, like I said again, that you're giving people the gift of health, which there is no greater gift.
That's right.
So, well, Dr. Jaquish, thank you so much. x3bar.com, folks. That's where you find this. Check him out on Instagram, on Facebook. He's all over the place. And get in the X3Bar user group in Facebook. Request access to that group, and you'll see it's not just me. It's not just the doctor here talking about this. You'll see real people. There's
almost 9,000 people in there that are talking about it.
Yeah, 9,000 people who get it.
When there was 100 people in there, someone would be like, oh, yeah, I'm sure those are your fraternity brothers or whatever. But, now it's clearly it's the public, and they're using it and getting great results.
That's fantastic work. Yep. Well, thank you again, and we will. So you're out on the West Coast, right? So next time I get out to the West Coast, I will have to look you up, and we'll go work out together. I'd look forward to it.
Let me know. I live in San Francisco. Let me know.
All right, well, sir. Well, we will see you soon. Thank you so much.
Great. All right.
All right. So what'd you think of that, right? I thought it was fantastic. It was a great conversation. We had a great time just kind of chit-chatting, just in a real normal format. If you like this kind of show, I'm interested in knowing what kind of topics you'd be looking for in the future. Once a month or so, once a week or so, I'm not sure what the timeline is yet, but I'd like to bring on an expert that kind of gives you some more information into a field that you're looking to make a complete change in. As you know, if you want to change your life, you actually completely have to change your life. And sometimes it takes an expert in a field that we're not an expert in to go ahead and do that. Like I said, get over to x3bar.com, use the promo code FATDAG. It'll save you $50 off your order. It lets them know you were here, lets them know that you were listening to the show, and keeps this type of stuff going. So again, thank you so much for being part of this community. It's time to celebrate. What is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on the WhysAdvice Podcast, send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. And so as you go through this journey, it's very, very important for you to share all of your successes, to document your triumphs, to talk about your struggles so that we find a community and we keep the community growing of like-minded people who get it done. It's all it is just us going, I got this. I can do this. I wake up every single day going, okay, I'm just going to give it another shot. Before you know it, you've reached whatever goal that you've set. And that is what it's all about. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this time. Remember now that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus. Thank you for listening to the WhysAdvice Podcast. Did you know for as little as $1 a month, you can take the next step as a wingman and support the show? Visit fatdag.com, click on Become a Patron today.